All right. Well, welcome and thank you all for coming. Um, we're gonna kind of give you an overview of the Mexico mission trip and what it all entails, so that if you are interested in coming, you can come. I hope you all will come. Um, so we'll dive in here. Oh, did I skip a slide? No. Okay. Great. Okay. Primary goals. So we go on this mission trip with Amor Ministries, which is a ministry that's based in Tijuana, Tecate. They actually have ministry all over Mexico and other places in Mexico as well as South Africa, and I believe they're even expanding in some other locations. But in any case, we go with them. They're led by a board of Mexican pastors who live and work in the Tijuana, Tecate area. Um, and so they utilize groups like us to build homes for families in need. There are lots of um, areas in the hills around Tijuana and Tecate where people move north from southern places in Mexico to look for work because there are a lot of factories in the Tijuana Tecate area. And so there's opportunities for people there. A lot of people move there for that reason. And the Mexican government kind of cuts these slabs into the sides of the mountains and sells them to people where they can build a home. Normally, those people can't really afford much in terms of a quality home, and so they mostly build homes out of scrap wood, tarps, that kind of thing. So most of the places that we go when we're assigned a family to build for by Amor, they'll have something in place, but it will be very, very bare bones. It will be um, not anything that we would consider worthy of living in. And so, what we build for them is a very basic house. It's 11 feet by 22 feet. It's got two windows and a door. It's got a concrete floor. The inside remains unfinished. It has a stuccoed exterior walls, and the interior we leave for the family to finish however they would like to. And that is the kind of thing that they are able to do. The big reason that this is beneficial for these families is that it provides them with a solid house that doesn't leak. It's got four strong walls. It's got a door that locks. Most of the time, most of their homes don't have a door that locks. It makes that very insecure. I remember one year we built a house for a family, and the husband was working as a security guard at night, and so it was very scary for him to leave his family in the middle of the night without somewhere that he could lock his family in and know that they were secure. And so that's the kind of thing that we provide. The pastors come along afterward and remain engaged with those families and in their lives. And oftentimes they're either oftentimes they'll be looking at a neighborhood, and they'll send multiple more groups in. Sometimes at the same time. There's many times that we're building in a neighborhood, and we'll see multiple other more teams working in that same area, and so that then allows that pastor to come in after we've left and share the good news, share the gospel, and possibly even start a church in that neighborhood. And so, spreading the gospel is another one of our primary goals, but I would say, usually is something that we're supporting that it's happening. Now, we do have some direct opportunity to share the gospel, but oftentimes it's more that we are being used by the larger missions organization that is spreading the gospel. Um, and our third primary goal is to equip you for future ministry. A big part of this ministry is to equip believers for ministry, and especially young people who have not necessarily done missions work before. They get training, get experience, and they are then more able to serve in the future. And so that's our third goal when it comes to this ministry. Okay, let's talk about first things first. In order to go on this trip, you have to have a passport. That is absolutely essential. And so if you don't have a passport, that is probably the number one barrier to you going on this trip, is that you don't have a passport yet. There are lots of ways to get one. The best way is to apply now. If you apply now, the waiting time is currently like 6 to 8 weeks. So you have enough time before our June departure to get your passport, but it is a process. It requires a lot of documentation. It requires you getting an appointment. You can get an appointment at the Placerville post office. If you are under 16, both parents have to accompany you to get your passport because they both have to sign. If you are between 16 and 18, you only need one parent to go with you. If you're 18 or older, obviously your parents aren't involved at all. You can just get a passport on your own, but you do need things like a birth certificate and different documentation in order to get your passport. So if you do not have a passport right now and you're thinking about coming, get on that. It is possible for you to get a passport in one day, but you have to drive to San Francisco in order to do that. So that is a possibility. It's something that I have done. And you can get a passport in one day, but it does take the whole day, and you do have to drive to San Francisco. And if you are under 16, you still have to have both parents. If you're 16 to 18, you still have to have one parent accompany you for that. So that can be kind of a hassle. Easier way is to make an appointment in Placerville at the post office and bring everything that you need, including a photo. The photo for the passports is something you do need to have taken at somewhere like the UPS store, where they do that kind of thing, because there are specifications for that. Second thing is applications. We do need to know that you are coming. And so the way that we know is that you fill out an application and told us that you're coming. And so if you would like to do that, the applications are available on the information table. Pick one up. If you also are still just thinking about coming, make sure you pick one up because it has all the details that you might need for that. The cost for the trip is $350 per person, but there are options if you cannot afford that. There is individual fundraising that you can do, where you can ask people to support you. You can write letters and ask people if that's something that you're interested in. You go, yeah, I can't afford $350. Then you can talk to Pastor Morgan, and he can talk to you about how to write that kind of a letter and who to mail it to and who would be appropriate to ask. Part of the way that we keep the cost at $350, because it does cost more than that per person to go on this trip, is through group fundraising. And so the biggest thing that we do for that is our Fiesta Mexicana. That is going to be on April 19th. We'll talk about that more at the end. But that is another essential part of how we pay for this trip. And then the last option is scholarships. We honestly never let someone miss this trip for this because due to money, not being able to afford it. And so if you are in need, ultimately you try fundraising, maybe you raise a little bit, but you can't raise all of it. There are scholarships available as well. So don't miss this trip because of the cost. Okay, I'm going to run through an outline of the trip, what it looks like when we go on this trip, just so you have an idea of what you are signing up for. So day one, we meet here at church at 6 a.m. on June 20th this year. We check everyone's passports, make sure they have them, and then we drive all day from here to San Diego. We stay at a church in Bonsall, California, which is just outside of San Diego, called Riverview. It's another evangelical free church. We sleep in their classrooms. We have to bring sleeping bags and cots and mattresses and all that kind of stuff anyway. So we have all that. We stay in rooms. Boys stay in one room, girls stay in another room. That is always the case on any kind of a Discovery Hills trip. We stay the night there. The next morning we wake up, we have breakfast, and then we go to church at Bonsall. That's day number two. The first thing we do is we go to church at Riverview. We get lunch and we get water bottles and make sure that they're filled. We get gallon-sized water bottles, just the disposable kind. We usually buy those there when we're buying lunch. If you have a gallon-sized water bottle you want to bring, you could use that. You can have one that's a Stanley or whatever you want to get, but it does need to be a gallon size because we do need to drink a lot of water when we're on this trip. We check in with a Moore after lunch, and then they lead us across the border. So they'll provide someone to lead our group across the border. They'll usually be in a different vehicle. We'll drive our vehicles across the border, and when we get across, we go straight to camp, and then we set up camp. Crossing the border is usually pretty easy. They have been stopping us and searching at least part of our luggage the last couple of years. Sometimes they'll have us walk across the border, meaning walk through their customs department there at the border. And then we get back in our vehicles and drive across the border. We don't actually physically walk across the border, but we walk through their customs thing. But usually that's a relatively quick process. There's usually not traffic going into Mexico. And so then we drive straight to camp. Moore Ministries maintains a camp they call Hacienda Camp. And that's where we set up our tents. They'll have a specific campsite for us where we'll set up our tents. We'll set up our camp kitchen, everything that we're going to need for that week. And that's basically all that we do that day. We cross the border, we set up camp. A few of us will go out and inspect the job site and see what it's like so that we have some idea of where we're going the next day and what we're going to encounter when we get there. But we do that. We have dinner in camp that night. And yeah, so that's day number 2. Day number 3, day number 3 is our first day of work. And that day, our only goal is to pour the slab for the foundation. Everybody will be engaged in mixing concrete. We mix it all by hand. One of the principles of our ministries is that we do not use any kind of power tools. So we don't use a cement mixer. We don't use drills. We don't use nail guns. Everything is hand tools. So we mix the concrete by hand and pour it. You can kind of see on the picture what it looks like in the background there where Daniel is helping to smooth it. So we get it looking nice, flat, level, all of that. There is some work that we do before we start mixing where we're getting the foundation ready, making sure it's level, and we have some trenches dug around the outside so the foundation is solid and secure. But the big thing that day is finishing the foundation, making sure it's ready to be built on. Because the next day we put up walls. You see a picture here of what the walls look like. We got walls for all around the structure with 2 windows in them. In 2 of the walls will have a window in them. 1 of the walls will have a door, along with the interior wall will also have a door in it. And then we wrap the house first in baling wire, which helps kind of pull it together and provide a structural backing for the stucco that's going to go on. Then we wrap it in tar paper, then we wrap it in chicken wire. Usually this day, we put the walls up, put the roof on, and we wrap the house in the baling wire, and that's how we'll leave it that day. Sometimes we do more than that. In general that day, so there's a lot of our principle is how can I help? And then those that are experienced will say, let me show you. And a lot of this trip is about teaching people who are coming on the trip for the first time how to do these things. Because you might be sitting there going, well, I don't know how to do any of that. I don't know how to mix concrete. I don't know how to build walls. I don't know even what baling wire is. Do not worry about that at all. A big principle of this trip is teaching people how to do things that they've never done before. And so that's one of our principles. It's one of the standards. Every year we bring people who come for the very first time and they don't know how to do anything. And people who are experienced who have been on the trip, they show them how to do these things. And it works well. So basic teaching steps is I do, you watch. I mean, we're going to teach someone something. You say, I'll do it. You watch me do it. Then I'm going to do it and you help me do it. Then you do it and I'll help you do it. Then you do it and I'll watch you do it. Make sure you have learned how to do it. So that's just basically how we do this stuff. the next day we put on the tar paper and the chicken wire, which provide that those three layers, the baling wire, the tar paper, and the chicken wire is what allows us to put stucco on the side of the house. If you're not familiar with what stucco is, it's essentially like concrete. It looks very similar without the rocks. It's just sand and cement. And we spread it on the side of the house. That chicken wire allows it to hang on there. It gives it some structure. And the tar paper makes it not fall through into the house, and the baling wire keeps that tar paper nice and solid for us to put the stucco on. We put the first coat of stucco on that day. That's our third day of work. Um, and uh, and we want to get the first coat of stucco done that day, because then the next day we put on the second coat of stucco, and that's all that we do. So it's our shortest day of work. It's really a half day of work. If you're concerned overall, how much work is this? It's 3 solid days of work and then 1 half day of work. And so that last day we put on the last coat of stucco. We make sure it looks good. We finish it with these sponges to make it nice and smooth. Um, because the quality matters. Like in general, when we're talking about this trip and we're building this home, we're building someone's home, right? We're trying to do this with love and to show them we care about them, and so we want it to look good. We want it um, to be quality, and so um, we really care about how it looks. All along the way when we're building, oftentimes the family will be there helping. There might be little kids that are there helping us, and they'll jump in there. They'll carry stucco. They'll help us dig the trench. Whatever it is, they'll help hammer nails. Oftentimes, other family members might be there as well. Sometimes, maybe the husband or father of the family, he might come home from work later in the day, and he'll help us at the end. Sometimes the wife jumps in and she helps as well. Oftentimes it'll be neighbors, other people, grandparents. All times there's a lot of other people helping, which is great, and it's part of really what we're doing is coming alongside them and saying we care about you. We want you to have a good place to live, because Jesus loves us and He loves you, and so that's why we come and do this. Okay, so throughout that time, sometimes we also put on a VBS. It is a very it is not quite the same. It is not at all quite the same level of VBS that we put on here at home. It primarily involves some songs, some skits, some crafts, and some soccer. It's usually about an hour, maybe an hour and a half after lunchtime on days 2, 3, and 4 of work. Days 2 and 3 is that much shorter version. If we have done it and we've been able to do that, then that last day will usually be a little bit longer because we do it after we finish the second coat of stucco. And this is a great thing that even if you don't speak Spanish, you can be engaged in this, because what I like to say is that anyone can wield a balloon sword. So we often you can see in the video, the picture there, my dad with a balloon flower that he made. Um, and so we often bring those balloons, and the people that know how to make them make balloon things for the kids. And one of the things all the boys really love is they love to get a little balloon sword. And anybody can go, and if you get a balloon sword and you kind of strike that pose of on guard, and it doesn't matter if you speak the language or not, you can engage with that kid. And you can come along and do crafts with the kids and all that stuff. You don't have to be fluent in Spanish whatsoever. For those of you who are taking Spanish in school, this trip in general, and VBS in particular, is a great time to practice. It is great to speak a language that you are learning with a kid, because they are very forgiving, um, and will continue to communicate with you even if you're making no sense. So it's a great thing to uh, be a part of. Okay. In general, there's something that I want to say. It's good to interact with the kids. You can give piggyback rides, you can hold the babies, all that kind of stuff. What you cannot do is touch the animals at all. Especially our last trip, there was a lot of dogs. Oftentimes they're very cute. There's been times when there's been a litter of puppies or a little litter of kittens next door to our job site. You are not allowed to touch the animals at all. That also means, I'll say, as a result of last year, you're also not feeding them. You're not encouraging them to come around you. You want to generally ignore them. There's just too many diseases and things around there. As much as we all love dogs, it is important that we not touch the animals when we're down there. Okay, day number 7. We cross the border. We pack up camp first thing in the morning. We have breakfast, then we pack up camp, and then we head for the border. Um, we have to have our passports, so we'll do a passport check again in case you've lost yours or you accidentally packed it in your luggage or whatever like that. You got to have your passport out. When we cross the border, it's sunglasses off. It's no jokes when we're actually interacting with the border guards. We don't want to have it to encounter a problem because we were joking around about having something that we shouldn't have, or about somebody not being legal or whatever. We want to take it seriously, and then if we cross the border with enough time, which it varies how long it takes us to cross the border, but if we cross it quickly and we have enough time, we'll stop for lunch, and then we'll go to the beach for a couple hours down in San Diego. It's a really cool little thing we get to do after we cross the border. It's really refreshing, and we'll do that. Then we'll drive through LA and through most of Southern California onto the Grapevine, where we'll stop at a hotel. We'll stay at this hotel in Frazier Park on the Grapevine overnight. The next morning, we'll finish our drive home, where we'll arrive sometime in the early afternoon, 2-3 o'clock, something like that. When we get back, everybody helps unload. That's one thing in general throughout this whole trip. We all work until the job is done. And so when we get back, don't plan on getting back and leaving right away, because we got to get back. We got to unload. We're going to clean the vehicles. We often borrow vehicles from people, and so we want to return them in good condition. So we're going to clean the vehicles. We're going to unload the tool trailer, all of that stuff, and no one leaves until we are all the way done. So you want to jump in and help out. And so on that note, I do want to talk a little bit about some of our family values when we're on this trip. One is flexibility. We want to be flexible. There's a lot of things that can happen. This trip is, again, we've been doing this trip for I think almost 30 years at this point. And so we have really gotten it down to a pretty good system where we generally know what's going to happen and we're prepared, we're ready, we have a good plan. But there are always things that get thrown in the mix that we didn't expect. And so we always want to be flexible. We might have delays, delay at the border, we might have a delay crossing the border, whatever. We might run out of materials, whatever. We want to remain flexible and being ready to do what needs to be done. Another of our family values is unity. This is a really important one. Living with a group of people for 8 days can be stressful. And so it is important that we are remain unified and connected and loving one another well. This is a great way that we practice verses like John 13:34-35, where Jesus tells us, "A new commandment I give you, that you love one another, even as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this, all men will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." So our love for one another and how we interact in love on the job site, as we're driving down, when we stop for gas somewhere, our interactions are a big part of our testimony. And so it is important that we are conducting ourselves with that kind of love and maintaining unity. Another of our family values is optimism. We want to have a positive outlook even when things are difficult, even when things are hard, even when things go wrong. We always want to be optimistic and looking to see how can good come out of this? How is God going to work through this? We want to have that positive outlook. We also value hospitality, meaning that as we are in our camp, as we are camping alongside other groups, we want to be hospitable, both in terms of how we welcome people into our own camp, but also how we live with our neighbors there. And so we always want to treat other groups with respect, treat people with respect when they come into camp. Sometimes there will be opportunities to either bring the family back to camp with us or have one of the Mexican pastors come and visit our camp. We always want to treat them with hospitality. Again, there are verses about this being a value that here in First Peter, Peter says, above all, keep fervent in your love for one another, because love covers a multitude of sins. Be hospitable to one another without complaint. And then our last family value is servant love, that we want to love one another and have a servant heart for one another. We want to see how can we be serving one another even as we're on this trip, because how we treat one another is a big part of what this trip entails. That's mostly who we're interacting with. There'll be people we interact with in the communities that we go down there with, but the biggest part of your time is going to be spent interacting with one another. We want to be loving one another and seeing how can we serve one another well. Another verse for this in Mark chapter 9, Jesus, it says, sitting down, he, meaning Jesus, called the 12 and said to them, if anyone wants to be first, he shall be last of all and servant of all. And we want to embody that principle that Jesus calls us to. I'll talk about a packing list real quick. So we talk about what we need to bring. You need to bring a sleeping bag and a pillow and a labeled trash bag. You need to bring a foam or air mattress or a cot. You need to bring toiletries. You must wear deodorant on this trip. If you do not, Morgan and I will come up to you and say, you smell bad. You need to wear deodorant. We'll have deodorant. We'll hand it to you. I've done that before. We are just in way too close a quarters for you to decide that you don't need to wear deodorant. You absolutely have to. It might not bother you, but it bothers other people. And you need to bring a towel, at least one, maybe two. You need to bring a camp chair. We use these in camp. We have campfire time every evening. In the morning, you're going to want somewhere to sit. You need to bring a camp chair. You need to have a water bottle. Again, we buy these gallon-sized water bottles, look just like this. Right before we cross the border, you don't need to bring it with you on the trip. We'll stop at a grocery store and buy it right before we cross the border. Everyone needs to have one of these for when we're on the job site, because you need to drink at least a gallon, more likely 2 gallons of water while you are on the job site each day. It's way more water than you drink on a normal day, but it is really necessary. You need to bring a flashlight, ideally a headlamp, instead of a flashlight, and extra batteries. Headlamp allows you to go and use the restroom on the job site and in camp, hands free. Not the job site. You don't need it on the job site, but at camp, you need to go to the bathroom at night. They are not lit. So you need to bring a flashlight. And if you just have a handheld flashlight, you have to figure out how you're going to handle that flashlight while trying to go to the bathroom. Headlamp is much better for that. Every year there are flashlights that end up in the bottom of the toilet area, which we'll talk about in a minute. I'll explain what that looks like. But a headlamp is much better for that. You need sunglasses and a hat and sunblock. We are working outside in the sun every day. You need to wear sunscreen, and it's good to have a hat and sunglasses. You need work gloves, work shoes, and work clothes. When you're on the job site, you get dirty. Your clothes may get ruined. If you see this picture right here is of a girl named Regina who came on the trip. Look at her shoes. If those were her nice new shoes that she liked and wanted to wear on the first day of school, she's not doing that anymore. They're covered in concrete. They're covered in mud. You want to either bring a pair of shoes that are on their last, you're not wearing them to anything nice anymore. They can be get junky, get destroyed, or get some work boots that you can wear that are going to be only used for that kind of thing when you're out doing yard work and that kind of thing. And you need work clothes. Your clothes also can get ruined. Emmy should be in there, and she ruined a pair of jeans last year doing tar on the roof. That can happen to anybody. You can also snag it on a nail, get a little rip in it, whatever like that. Don't bring your best clothes. Always a good idea to just go to the thrift store and buy some clothes that then you don't care about, that you didn't spend a lot of money on, if you don't have clothes like that already. And you need work gloves. You can see in the pictures here, that means good, heavy duty, thick work gloves, not the thin cloth gardening gloves that your mom uses when she goes out and works in the garden. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for good, heavy duty, quality work gloves. Can't, and on the job site as well, work clothes. You need to have sleeves. So you, meaning at least short sleeves. You're not wearing tank tops. You're not wearing cutoffs. And you need to wear pants. We can't wear shorts on the job site either. That's largely for safety, but we also are concerned about making sure we're being modest when we're on the job site as well. In camp, you can wear normal clothes. Like, you're not, they're going to get dirty a little bit, it's dusty and that kind of thing, but it's not going to get destroyed. You can wear shorts. You can wear, you know, tank tops, that kind of thing. You need shoes for camp as well. You usually want a pair of shoes that you're going to wear in camp and a shoes you're going to wear on the job site. You don't necessarily want to wear the same shoes in both places, just because your work shoes do get pretty gross. And you need a jacket or sweatshirt. It'll be hot during the day, but it does get cool at night, and you are essentially camping. Okay, I'm not going to go too much over what our base camp looks like, other than just kind of show you this is what it looks like when we get there. Pretty bare piece of ground here that we are going to set up camp on. We set up a kitchen area, and I do believe we are going to have a team of cooks coming this year to make our meals. We're not going to, I don't believe we're going to be using Baja cooks this year. And so that is exciting to have our cooks back. But we'll set up a camp kitchen with these big canopies that looks like this. You can see in the picture there, that kind of L shape. That's our camp kitchen. On the right, you see our tents. We sleep, 4 or 5 people in a big tent. Again, guys' tents and girls' tents specifically. We'll talk more about this at our next meeting. The baños, that's Spanish for bathroom. Often well, in camp, they are essentially porta potties that they've cut the bottoms off of and put them over top of a giant pit, where all of that stuff just falls into, and it just stays there in this deep pit. And so that's what they look like. They look like porta potties, but they just instead of having a tank underneath, they're just open and they drop into this open pit. That's true on the job sites as well, for the most part. Occasionally there'll be a flushing toilet, but oftentimes it'll be like this. This is actually is an example of one from maybe 10 years ago at this point. That little box is just over an open pit. We put a tarp over the front of this to give privacy. But that's what the baño looked like that year. That's where we were able to go use the restroom. So there is some flexibility that we have to have when we think about that. We don't want to make a big deal of it, but we also don't want to not drink water in order to avoid it. So it's important that we are using the restroom when we need to use the restroom, and drinking enough water in order to do that. Well, okay. Showers. We do take showers every day when we're there, especially on the work days. Their water will be provided by Amor. It is not drinking water. They will provide drinking water, and they will provide shower water. They are different. The shower water is not purified. When you take a shower, you are allowed 2.5 gallons per person per day. You can have a solar shower or use like a bucket of some kind. Is basically there's a big open room for guys and a big open room for gals that you go and shower in. So you shower in a modest bathing suit. And then you have to have the cover up to walk to and from the showers as well. We'll go over that more in our next meeting as well. Trash, they also have a system for trash we'll talk about. More for us. For this meeting, I'll let you know that the camp is guarded 24/7 by pastors and church leaders who volunteer with Amor. So they're there both during the day and all night. There are guards who are awake and there all night, guarding the camp. And so it is secure. We want to be friendly, thankful, and respectful with them because they're serving us in that way. So, and the camp is again well outside of town. Is kind of in a almost a rural area where there are ranches and things around us there. Okay. What's next? If you intend to go on the trip, please submit your applications. You can also pay either all of the cost, or you can give a $100 deposit to kind of hold your spot, but that helps us know that you are coming. We ideally would have those as soon as possible, but definitely by the end of this month. And then our next team meeting will be April 19th. That's going to be a Sunday. We'll be right after church again. We will provide lunch that time because it's going to be a longer meeting. It'll go till 2. And then we'll also, after that meeting, set up for the Fiesta Mexicana. That's our big fundraiser. That is a dinner and a silent auction. And so if you would like to donate anything for the silent auction, you can be thinking about that, what you might have to donate. One of the best things to donate for especially young people who don't have possessions is you can donate service. If you do babysitting, if you would do yard work, if you would, whatever kind of service you might be willing to provide, that goes, those always sell great and raise a lot of money at the auction. And so you can be thinking about that, but plan on coming, plan on just kind of marking that day off for yourself, because between the meeting and then the actual fiesta, you're going to be here most of that day. And think about inviting people to that as well, because it's a great thing to invite people to. We show the video from the previous year so people kind of get a picture of what the trip is like and what we're doing and what they're donating to. We'll have a commissioning service on June 14th. That's essentially just on a Sunday morning. We'll invite the team to come up. The elders will pray for us as we head out on the mission. And then the next thing we'll have is packing day. That's the day before we leave. We bring all of our gear here and load it up so that we can leave early the next morning. So that's in the afternoon, 4 to 6 on Friday, June 19th. And then we leave June 20th at 6 a.m. Okay, I don't know how this will work, but I'm going to ask for questions. So, Morgan, I don't know if you can either grab one of the microphones and see if I can hear you if you use one of them, or you could go to the back table and type them in. I'm not sure how that would work. I'll just wait a minute till maybe we can get that figured out. I'm not sure if it will work or not. Or if anyone else has any questions. I know
Chris,
Jack
can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
All right.
Are
Does anyone
there
have any
any
questions?
questions? Judah wants to know why the roof is slanted.
Well, bud, so that the rain slides off of it. Any other questions?
I think we're good.
Okay. All right, great. Well, thanks for coming, everybody. I will see you around.
Bye.